They say you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat the people they think are beneath them. For years, Abigail Harper had been a silent observer, unnoticed in the sprawling high-rise offices of Zenith Corporation in downtown Chicago. Dressed in a faded cleaning uniform, with her hair tied back and hands rough from years of hard work, Abigail was invisible to the executives in their sleek suits and polished shoes. They saw her only as the cleaning lady, not as the extraordinary woman she truly was. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning when Nathaniel Rhodes, one of the top executives, sauntered into the boardroom and found Abigail cleaning the windows. "Hey, try not to leave streaks this time, okay? Some of us have important meetings here," he sneered, barely sparing her a glance. His colleagues chuckled at his remark, the sound echoing through the pristine room. Abigail said nothing, her face impassive as she continued her work. Nathaniel's words would soon haunt him, though he had no idea at the time. As the day unfolded, employees passed Abigail in the halls without a second thought. They gossiped about her, made dismissive jokes, and treated her like a fixture rather than a human being. But while the rest of the staff ignored her, one person took notice. Emily Perez, a recent business school graduate and the newest addition to the team. Unlike her colleagues, Emily had an eye for details and had observed something intriguing about Abigail. There was a quiet confidence in the way she moved through the office, her gaze sharp and focused, as though she were taking in more than just the dust on the surfaces. Later that afternoon, the air in the office grew tense as word spread that Charles Whitman, the CEO of Zenith Corporation, was visiting for the annual review meeting. Charles was a towering figure in the business world, respected, feared, and admired in equal measure. When he entered the boardroom, the chatter ceased immediately. The executives sat up straighter, their expressions carefully composed. Abigail was in the room, quietly cleaning a corner when Charles arrived. To everyone's astonishment, he glanced at her and smiled. "Abigail," he said warmly, his voice cutting through the heavy silence, "I think it's time." The room froze. Confusion rippled through the group of executives. Nathaniel, who had mocked her earlier, looked especially baffled. His confident smirk faltered as Abigail set down her cleaning supplies and turned to face the room with calm authority. "Yes, Mr. Whitman," she replied, her voice steady but filled with a power no one had noticed before. Abigail walked to the front of the room, every step erasing the image of the quiet, unnoticed cleaning lady. The executives exchanged bewildered glances, their disbelief palpable. Charles cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his tone commanding yet calm, "allow me to introduce you to the majority shareholder of Zenith Corporation, Miss Abigail Harper." The room erupted in gasps. Faces turned pale, mouths fell open, and the once Ararican board members stared at Abigail as though seeing her for the first time. Nathaniel sat frozen, his earlier smugness replaced by a stunned, panicked expression. Abigail stood tall, her presence filling the room. She scanned the crowd, her gaze sharp and unyielding. "For years," she began, her voice clear and steady, "I've observed how this company operates, not from behind a desk, but from the floors you walk on and the hallways you pass through. I've seen a culture that prioritizes profits over people, and I've witnessed a lack of respect for those who keep this place running. But today, that changes." The silence that followed was deafening. Every word she spoke seemed to carry the weight of her years of perseverance, and no one dared interrupt her. The executives were grappling with the truth. Abigail wasn't just a cleaning lady. She was the powerful force behind Zenith Corporation, a woman who had built herself up from nothing. Over the years, Abigail had quietly acquired shares in the company, eventually becoming its majority shareholder. While they dismissed her, she had been watching, learning, and preparing for this moment. Nathaniel's mind raced. He replayed every word, every sneer, every dismissive comment he had ever directed at her. His stomach churned as he realized the depth of his misjudgment. Abigail's gaze landed on him. "Mr. Rhodes," she said, coldly, her tone unflinching, "your arrogance and lack of respect have no place in this company. You're fired, effective immediately." The room erupted in murmurs and Nathaniel's face turned ashen. "What?" he stammered, his voice trembling. "You can't be serious." "Oh, I am," Abigail replied, her eyes never leaving his. "You saw me, but you never saw me. You never asked who I was or why I was here. All you saw was a uniform. That's the problem. And that's why you're the first to go." Nathaniel sank back into his chair, his hands gripping the armrests as though to steady himself in a collapsing reality. Everything he had worked for was gone in an instant. Turning back to the rest of the room, Abigail continued, "This is a wake-up call for all of you. The culture of disrespect ends now. I may have started at the bottom, but I've built my way to the top. I bought this company piece by piece, and now I own it. If you can't adapt to the new direction we're taking, you're welcome to leave." Her words hung in the air, a final warning to those who clung to their old ways. Charles Whitman, who had been silently observing, nodded in agreement. It was clear that he and Abigail had been planning this moment for some time. Unlike the hard-nosed CEO the board feared, Charles was a visionary leader who valued resilience and strength. The remaining executives shifted uncomfortably in their seats, some whispering among themselves, others too stunned to speak. Abigail's transformation was undeniable. She was no longer the invisible worker they had ignored. She was their leader, and they knew it. Standing near the back of the room, Emily Perez felt a surge of admiration for Abigail. When Abigail left the boardroom, Emily followed her, catching up to her in the hallway. "Mrs. Harper," Emily began hesitantly, "I just wanted to say thank you. What you did in there, it was incredible." Abigail paused, turning to face the younger woman. A warm smile softened her expression. "You don't need to thank me, Emily," she said kindly. "Just remember one thing. Never let anyone tell you your worth. You decide that." Emily nodded, her respect for Abigail deepening. In that moment, she knew she had witnessed something extraordinary, a turning point not just for Zenith Corporation, but for her own perspective on life and leadership. As Abigail stepped outside, the city skyline stretched out before her, a testament to ambition and possibility. The bustling streets and towering buildings seemed different today. They weren't just symbols of corporate power. They were reminders that anyone, no matter their background, could rise to the top through perseverance and determination. Back inside the office, the executives sat in stunned silence, grappling with the new reality. Zenith Corporation would never be the same. They had laughed at Abigail Harper, the cleaning lady, but she had the last word. She wasn't just cleaning up after them anymore. She was cleaning up the entire company. From that day forward, Abigail's story became a legend, a reminder of the power of resilience and the importance of treating everyone with respect. Zenith Corporation had a new leader, and the corporate world would never forget the woman who rose from the shadows to own it all.